Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Sox on Tap.
Tony, my first reaction is just, fuck yes, let's go.
Sox versus Detroit. That's where it all starts. It all starts taking care of business in-house in the Central Division.
That's right, I'm a meatball.
You got to bring that top button swag, baby.
It is always great to beat the Cubs.
And I'm a homer, so I always say they're gonna.
Dallas Keuchel Lansing got some beards that you should be afraid of.
What everybody said when he gets out there, it's me versus the other guy, and I'm going to beat him. So I just love that mentality. It's cool and fucking tough.
Steve, would you say that Tony is mad online?
I would definitely say that.
It's the White Sox winner.
White Sox fans, welcome into the Sox on Tap postgame show. It's Jonnie Nani here alongside Tony Marchese, unfortunately discussing 7-3 White Sox loss up in Toronto. Tony, I think you got the right idea. I got my misery beers here too. Let's just drink it out.
Yeah. I just wanted to finish that one before we get to the next. By the end of the show, we'll see how many we go through, but it's gonna be a long night, so we might as well just start right now. Is it Thursday? Is it Wednesday? Did
it's
the weekend
Wednesday,
just start?
But with the shortened week, I feel like we can just assume it's all a weekend. So the weekend starts on Wednesday, or I guess it started on Tuesday. So
weekend started on Tuesday. Well, you might as well just continue it down because you gotta have something that helps. Right after that.
Dude, how are you feeling after this, man? It's we're 2 games into this kind of make or break stretch that our guy NWI Steve wrote about, and it's not looking good so far. Obviously, the White Sox beat themselves in game 1 of the series, and then tonight, some faulty pitching. Michael Kopech didn't have it, and you're not able to keep up. A couple dingers, but not nearly enough to keep up with the hot Jays team right now.
No, Johnny, not nearly enough. And once again, the White Sox were beaten by a better team. It sucks. It sucks getting up and looking forward to a White Sox game every day to go get your ass handed to you. What feels like more times than you thought this team would have that happen to them. Right now, Johnny, I'm disappointed. I'm mad. I'm angry. I'm not happy with what I watch every night. You've had the flashes, you've had things that, it just doesn't feel like this team has started to even click, and it just begs the question, will they ever? I think a lot of people are feeling that right now, and it's frustrating as hell to watch. Johnny, I think you may have left yourself on mute there, my friend.
That I did. Thanks for the reminder. I agree with that, Tony. It's demoralizing, and you talked about not taking off yet. And I'd written a couple, just last week, after they came home after the whole Donaldson dust up. They swept that 2 games in New York in that doubleheader. Come home, and then you get your ass handed to you by Boston. And I wrote, when are the White Sox going to make a statement? That's something that should have emotionally charged them to move forward. And then you go and you let up 16 runs in 2 of those games, and then now you come into this tough stretch of the schedule, and you're not even playing. I don't know. I guess you were competitive in game 1, but then tonight you didn't really give yourselves a chance just with the way that pitching cookie crumbled.
Yeah, and I mean this is the unfortunate thing that seems to happen over the course of this season over and over again. I've sat here thinking about, I've spent, I guess, far too much time thinking about how the White Sox can get themselves back into this. How do you turn this over? Here's some patience. Wait this out. And it just seems to be the same cycle so far this year, Johnny, where you have an emotionally charged game. You thought that this Donaldson incident, sweeping the Yankees in that doubleheader, was going to lead you on a run. Coming back in the extra inning ball game against the Cubs, even though that was a sloppily played game, you'd think that could lead to something. It just feels like portions of this team break down over and over again. The DFA of Dallas Keuchel, let's move on from this. Let's, set a standard. There hasn't been that moment of unification of this team to carry on a stretch. And even though they had, what was it, a 5-game winning streak as their longest of the season, even that feels like it's so far back in the rear view mirror. I don't know what's going on, man. you see tweets of Yoan Moncada hitting home runs and batting practice today, and you get the Eloy Jimenez is down in Charlotte hitting, and it's just like it just feels like over and over and over again you're seeing these signs of here we're going to get this all come together. I don't know what this is.
Yeah,
I can't even explain it.
Yeah, so I think Saxon Sane, our guy here, put it just about right. This is not cool nor tough. It's not. No, it's not.
We would call this layman weak showing from the White Sox.
Right. It absolutely is. And I think the more frustrating overarching thing, when you talk about all those things, it's like, okay, even with those guys potentially coming back and you're looking at some returns for Eloy, Lance Lynn eventually here, and even Moncada, now you might as well have just put him on the IL too. That's another tree I can bark up, but I won't go there right now. But it's still not like these guys were tearing the cover off the ball, these guys that we're missing here. And so it's like them back in the lineup, are they just going to keep struggling like the rest of the team is? That's what it feels like to me. And it's like they're just never going to find their footing.
Yeah, and you put it perfectly there, finding their footing. When you build a core around a bunch of guys, and Johnny, you said this earlier on this year, Eloy Jimenez specifically, Rick Hahn comes out, says he's not injury prone. All of a sudden he's fucking injured again. I've been barking up this tree for how long that this guy should be a DH, keep him out of left field. Again, this goes back to some of the stuff that we discussed this offseason in roster construction, how you've got too many of the same DH profile type guys on a roster. The defense is shit. And, you have to mash in order to win ball games with this club. And you want them to be capable of doing that. You want to see that. I love fireworks. We know this. We've been down this road. You love being opportunistic. And at some point, it just feels like, like there's some sort of White Sox voodoo doll out there where it just never works because somebody's sticking a pin right in you every single fucking time you try and get anything done. And so that's why you look at stuff on paper, you can argue that it looks good, but then when it comes to the results, they're not there. They're not there at all. And people want to place blame in certain areas. Like I've seen I encourage people who are tuned into this, go read what NWI Steve wrote about Yasmani Grandal. I was sitting in the group chat the other night, Johnny, talking about how fucking cooked this guy is. And you're a big fan of Yasmani Grandal.
Yeah,
those are hard words.
I've jumped off that now too.
Yeah, those are hard words to hear. And then I'm on the phone with him today, and he calls me up and he says, I'm looking at his stats, and he's no different than anywhere else in certain points in his career. Go to ontapsportsnet.com, check out what Steve wrote about Yasmani Grandal. You have to chalk it up to bad luck or just fucking it doesn't happen for this team. And it's the most fucking frustrating part about it, Johnny, is that even when you watch stuff with the eye test, and again, we've spoken out against hardcore advanced stats on this show. Well, you get a stats guy like Steve to go look at this, and he goes, I don't know why he's this bad right now. I don't know why he's this bad. Go read his article. I won't spoil the whole thing, but holy moly, is this fucking putrid.
Don't get me wrong. There is some bad luck involved. I think that's definitely part of it. But at the same time, you need your team leaders to be leaders. Right now, we're finally seeing Jose Abreu step up and be a leader. I know he had some of the same issues as Yasmani Grandal did when you're talking about those, generating some hard contact, but not getting the results there. Now you're seeing Pito start to, what's he been on base? I think it's he's got to be close to double digits now in his streak there for being on base at least. And then he hit a friggin' nuke to the left field in the second deck there at the Rogers Center tonight. So that's good to see him going, but you need that from Yaz. He wasn't even in the lineup tonight. You see him lead off, strike out 3 times last night. Granted, he did hit the sack, what should have been a sack fly to tie the game last night.
Haunting my dream. I think last night I replayed that play in my head 50 fucking million times.
Yeah, it was terrible because I had to go and get the screenshot of that Mendick getting thrown out at second for our recap, Tony, and that was painful. I had to go and rewatch it and then take the screen grab of the video, and it was just not a good experience. It some PTSD going on there. So let's break into tonight's game. Like I said, a 7-3 loss in Toronto in game 2 of the series. Man, the story of this one for how the White Sox go down is Michael Kopech not having it, man. 3 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 home runs allowed. It really kind of chaps my ass when we finally get a leadoff home run, a hashtag set the tone play, right? AJ Pollock in the leadoff spot. I think that was a good decision by TLR. Obviously paid immediate dividends there. And then the Blue Jays answer with a leadoff home run of their own in the bottom of the first. And was the start of it, but it was the second inning where it really started to get away from Kopech. And that was, unfortunately, most with 2 outs.
Yeah, and again, I mean, there were some times where Kopech was getting squeezed there, Johnny. Just some really wild calls. But again, at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and say that the umpire is the reason that the Sox lost. They didn't play good enough to win this game. But little things like this, I will say, do matter in the grand scheme of things, because it just seems to be the way the cookie crumbles for the White Sox in a lot of these situations. They're not getting calls for whatever reason, and then things unravel. You can't have Michael Kopech out there on 9 days rest, laboring in the second inning. That's just not good. I mean, I was excited to watch him pitch today because I thought he was going to be the guy that comes out here after, showing really great stuff against New York, comes into this ball game. He's had ace type shit all year. I think he's pitched better than Lucas Giolito. I think to a certain extent, in some starts, he's pitched better than Dylan Cease has. That's the Michael Kopech that you want to see, because God forbid Yohan Moncada ever lace up again for the Chicago White Sox. There's got to be some salvation in the fucking Chris Sale trade. So you need Michael Kopech to show up and then you watch him labor through this shit. Yeah. And I hate high pitch counts in the second inning. That makes me mad.
So I was listening during that second inning. I was not in front of a TV then in the car, but I was listening during that. And at one point, I don't even know exactly what he finished with for pitch count wise in the second inning, but it had to be close to 40, because at one point he wasn't even out of it yet. It was already up at 36. But Len and DJ brought up something that I want to ask you about while I was listening on the radio broadcast. Sure. And it was fine. You talked about on 9 days rest there, and that sparked this in my mind. He was talking about finding a sweet spot. Is 9 days too much there? I know you can't do anything about off days. Those are just built into the schedule there. But obviously with the rearranging that they did with Cease not being able to go to Toronto here, maybe that's like a too long of a rest. It's like weird to say that, especially for a guy that's coming off Tommy John and, didn't play in the shortened 2020 season. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on it, because I think maybe that plays a factor. I mean, obviously we've seen the command slip in that game against the Yankees, but he was able to reel it back in, right? In those following innings. He never reeled it back in tonight.
No, he didn't really reel that back in. And Johnny, I don't know. I don't know what the plan is for Michael Kopech exactly. It feels like sometimes these teams make it up as they go along. Obviously, there had to be some rotation shuffling for Dylan Cease to appear in that game on Sunday. So you move the rotation around. You figure you buy Michael Kopech a couple extra days rest. I think Michael's a competitor, man. Like, I really do. There was a lot of questioning about Michael Kopech during the season that he took off in 2020 and the Tommy John. And it seems like he's really done a lot to right himself. You've seen him already come out and just get angry about getting taken out of ball games early.
Just look at any start that wasn't tonight or the Yankees game, right?
Yeah. I mean, I really think that he wants the governor taken off of the engine, so to speak here, and let him go full throttle. I think that 9 days rest is way too much for a ball club that needs Michael Kopech pitching and throwing ace shit right now. You're in your window. Like, take the fucking governor off. And if that's Tony's decision, well, that's wrong. If it's Ethan Katz's decision, that's wrong. If it's Rick Hahn's decision from a money standpoint, that's wrong. Whoever's got the limiter on him, you need him to fucking pitch right now, and you need him every 5 days. That's just my take on it.
The only thing I could retort back to that is obviously, we need him now because we thought we would be in a different position, but you do want to have his arm available throughout the duration of the season. So that's the only thing I would go. But when we're talking about this, I asked about the sweet spot because Len mentioned that, and I think that's a really good point. I think
6-7 days max.
Right. There's a nice little area in there if you can work around an off day or rearranging one or two guys to, they had to there. And you can get that occasional 6, occasional 7 if you're talking like all-star break, shit like that, right? But you probably wouldn't want to go past that because you kind of get out of a rhythm, right? You're a starting pitcher. That's what your whole routine's built on. It's a rhythm, right?
100%. And starting pitchers especially, they live on routine,
right? And Scott Merkin wrote a nice piece for the White Sox inbox newsletter, and he had said that Kopech, sure, he would accept any role that he was given, and obviously bullpen role was his, where he was deployed last year. But he said he feels like he pitches better when he's in that rhythm and in that, kind of set routine, I guess. So that's the point I wanted to drive home when discussing that. But we already read off the stat line from Michael Kopech. Pretty ugly there. That's White Sox obviously didn't even come close to getting the 5 earned runs back that they got. The Blue Jays did off of him. But later in the game, Tony, another friggin' gut punch. Middle of the pen holds it down fairly well. You get Crick for 2. Foster, Ruiz for 4 through 7 there. And then Bennett Souza in the 8th, more 2-out damage, man. Walks Bichette, and then guess who? Vlad Jr., my fucking favorite. Smacks that ball.
I know he's your favorite.
Dead center, man. That was like, you already felt the game was pretty much out of reach then, but that was you heard every White Sox fan internally heard in their minds, Hawks say, and this ball game is over.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? What's even more sad about that entire sequence of events is that after the Bo Bichette walk, Ethan Katz walks out to the mound to go bring everybody in and talk about how you approach Vlad Jr. in this situation. And then he gives up a missile.
Maybe Ethan Katz should have just pointed to first base, or maybe it has to be Tony La Russa. I don't know if the pitching coach can intentionally walk.
Yeah, I'm not really calling for the intentional walk here.
I mean,
you can't. And this is the problem, right? Is I'm going to call this out probably for the first time. This is where Garrett Crochet should be in the ball game.
Yeah, right.
Jonnie,
this is your lefty spot, right?
Here's your lefty spot, and you're down a guy in your bullpen. You're already missing Kendall Graveman this series. You're missing Joe Kelly, who's injured. So your high leverage spots in these roles right here in a close ball game is going to Souza. And Vlad Guerrero Jr. is a good hitter.
Yeah.
When he's hitting in a high pressure situation like that against Bennett Souza versus a veteran or a Garrett Crochet type, I'm pointing the favor in Vlad Guerrero Jr. here, Jonnie. That's part of the problem right now. You have these injuries. You have guys who should be available in these situations. Hell, Michael Kopech should have gone at least 6 fucking innings in this baseball game. You were exposed, and good teams like the Toronto Blue Jays take advantage of these types of situations, and they did. And they beat the White Sox. And that was your ball game.
I just want to, that was the ball game. I just want to go back to a couple points. And one was what Steve said last night, and quoting the great Hawk Harrelson, once again, not about who you plays, but when you play them, you're on full display here. When you talk about the Blue Jays taking advantage of those, yes, they have the hitters to do that. But much like the White Sox have been struggling all season offensively, that was their problem for the first month and a couple weeks of the season there too. But now they're finding their stride, like we wish the White Sox would, and they're now on a 7-game winning streak after taking game 2 of the series, Tony. And makes me mad because they can have nice things, but we're not allowed to have nice things.
No, I think that's the biggest fucking problem right now, being a White Sox fan, is that it literally feels like you are not allowed to have nice things. Hit a leadoff home run to start the game. comes right back at you. You know, here's Michael Kopech, the guy that you want on the mound. Dog shit start. It happens. Yes, it happens. You get into a situation where you got to pitch to Vlad Guerrero Jr. while Gordon Beckham's talking about your team coming back. Well, guess what? Boom. There it goes. It's almost like it was scripted.
Yeah, I will say, Tony, I know it was still technically close, and you're talking 2-run ball game there. But even then, I didn't have a whole lot of confidence. Say you don't even give that up. I didn't have a whole lot of confidence that the White Sox were coming back. Just look at what they did. Even after that, granted, morale's a little down. But in the 8th and 9th, even when you emptied the bench, you get Moncada out there for a nice strikeout. Lovely. He's continuing what he's been doing.
Well, I'll ask you this. You
Reese
brought
is
up
there, and then Gavin Sheets gets out there, and he put some contact on it. But there were they ever going to build a rally? In my mind, no.
No, you had
You had to give yourself a chance. But
you had your opportunities already when Jose Abreu came up with the bases loaded, Johnny. But you bring up morale, you bring up, how things are rolling. You've talked about how hitting is contagious, stuff you're not going to find on the stat sheet. The morale has to be at an all-time low for the White Sox and where this is going. If you're talking about ice tilt in hockey, Johnny, when a team's buzzing, you talk about the boys are buzzing. Like, how much of that plays into it? I think a lot of this right now for the White Sox is potentially mental.
You saying that brought up a thought. We need more chaw in the dugout. Obviously, we know Jose Abreu is chawsing every single game, and he's buzzing right now. The rest of the team needs to start buzzing, man. I'm telling you, get that red. We're trying to figure. Get that red man.
Zins. We need Zins. Lucas Giolito Zins.
Get that red man in the dugout. Just Jose has to use the friggin' plastic Ziploc bag. Yeah, smelling salts. Do it all. Get the boys quite literally buzzing, and then maybe the bats will start buzzing. That's my fix right now.
I mean, at this point, it's only crazy if it doesn't work. You have to figure out a way to change the momentum. I've been asked, how do you turn this around? What do you do? You have to find a way to unify and change the momentum of what's going on, because this team right now seems incapable of carrying momentum from game to game. And we know this, Johnny, you're only as good as your last envelope.
The Yankees to Red Sox series is the perfect example of it. And that's why I was so frustrated when I wrote that. When will the White Sox make a statement? And guess what? Over a week later, it still stands.
Consistency. You have to be consistent with this shit. If Jose Abreu and AJ Pollock are hot right now, yeah, we'll take that as a positive. But you still need more. You still need more. If that's not getting the job done,
get greedy.
Yes, but you talk about get greedy. I mean, I'll bring up the first example back. You got greedy yesterday, and it fucking bit you in the ass when Danny.
I didn't mean in that. I'm talking about in terms of we have these two guys going, so we're okay. No, everybody get on the same page and get buzzing.
Yeah,
that's more what I'm.
Got to find a way where we get to the point where we're talking on this show about the boys being buzzing, Johnny, and that's what we need.
Right, and unfortunately, right now it seems like the only thing that's going to pick this up. Sure, maybe you get a little bit of a jolt when Lance Lynn returns, but I don't want to be talking. I want to do it right now, because guess what? They're not going to be here through the rest of this. Now we're 2 games into this 9-game stretch that Steve had written about at OnTapSportsNet.com, and it's not looking good so far. And you're not going to have these guys returning, especially since Eloy had a little hiccup in his. Granted, it was good to see him at least back in the Charlotte lineup. I didn't see how he performed, but either way, they're not returning for this. So it's got to be the guys in that clubhouse right here, right now, getting it done. Tony.
Who the hell's Eloy?
Yeah, what's an Eloy?
What is an Eloy? I haven't seen him play.
Yeah, I have
a lot. I almost forgot that he was part of this ball club.
I have a shirt with his name on it, but and a jersey too with his number on it, but I'm not so sure it exists. I think it was just a figment of my imagination, a fever dream or something. 2019 was a fever dream, Tony.
I mean, it feels like it at this point. I want fan deck home runs. I want Yohan Moncada to hit a missile out to the right field seats once a homestand, at least minimum. We have to start getting there at this point, Johnny, because this season's going to finish one of 2 ways: magical or fucking terrible, out in flames, dumpster fire. It's going to be bad. I'm kind of resigned to this point, because at this point, we haven't seen the magic, the momentum. The boys are buzzing, the fun, and it sucks. So I'm just looking ahead, probably way too far. But you're gonna see either a magical return, and everybody's gonna eat crow and be happy about it because they returned to what you thought they would be, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: you make it to the ALCS and you make it competitive. That's the boys were buzzing off the back half.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about a World Series victory at this point. Make it fun, or they're going to fizzle out. And I would say fizzling out in a bad year ends with this team either missing the playoffs or making it into the first round and getting swept out for the third time in a row. Unacceptable. So the bar is fucking high. And that's what makes this all the less fun to talk about.
Right. And I think I can sum this up as last year, the White Sox had a plethora of injuries, some similar guys too, right? When you're talking about Eloy and that, Moncada's had stretches, obviously.
I thought these guys weren't injury prone.
Always does. Yeah. But we've gone down that road before. But when you're talking with Tony, what did you say? You and me always talked about it last year, just bullshitting in your garage or on this show, wherever out the ballpark, sitting in, walking around the concourse, and we'd say, this team has it. Like, how is Billy Hamilton and Brian Goodwin having, being able to carry these guys
this year?
And right. This team does not have it. The 2022 White Sox do not have it, whereas 2021 had a little bit of an aura around it. So it's unfortunate, but that's where we're at. And next opportunity to try and right this thing is tomorrow, series finale in Toronto, Tony. It will be a 207 start, I believe. Jonnie Cueto taking the bump for the Sox, and he will oppose Alek Manoah for the Blue Jays, who has been very, very good. So the test gets even harder.
Hey, up until this point, I have no reason to believe that the White Sox will win a game tomorrow against the Toronto Blue Jays. Will I tune in? Yes. Will I root for my White Sox? Yes. You gotta hope, right? You gotta hope something happens, something breaks. Baseball's a weird sport.
We're masochists here. We'll always be here, just taking the pain.
Dude, it feels that way sometimes. I don't even know what to say about this baseball game. I'm just being honest with everybody who's tuned in right now or listening to this in the podcast version. If you are, thanks for sticking with this all the way through, Jonnie. I don't know what to say about this game.
Yeah,
I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared.
I am too. Jonnie Cueto got touched up a little bit early in his outing against the Cubs last Saturday. Obviously, was able to limit it and still give his team a chance there. So far, you got to like what you've seen from Jonnie Cueto. So at least that's somewhat positive. But on the other end, you're facing Alek Manoah, 5.1177 ERA. This guy is like their version of Lance Lynn. And I'm just looking at his picture in the preview here. Big burly guy. He's got the beard going there. So that strikes a little fear into me. I mean, the way the White Sox are playing strikes some fear into me. But if you're going to pick a guy to maybe help get it done, who's going to help inject some it into this team? Pick the click.
I really like what AJ Pollock's doing right now, Jonnie. I think that at this point in the season, I thought I would have had him as my pick to click a couple of more times than I do already, but he's been swinging a hot bat. I was gonna go with Danny Mendick because he's racked up a couple of 2-hit games, but I mean, man, would you think that before I get my pick to click, I got one last question for you. Did you think that when Tim Anderson went down with this injury, that Danny Mendick was going to string together a bunch of 2-hit games?
No, granted they were limited, but his at bats were fairly rough early.
Yeah, it's just weird.
In the season, yeah.
I was ready to go with Danny Mendick, but I'm going to go with AJ Pollock. I don't know if he's going to be hitting the leadoff because you damn well know at this point in time Tony La Russa ain't going to roll out the same lineup twice. That's just his thing right now. So maybe he hits second or third. Maybe he hits leadoff. I think he's going to have a couple of hits tomorrow. Maybe he continues his hot streak. I'm rolling AJ Pollock.
Yep, they need him to. I'm going to go with one thing that we talked about earlier. The only one who is quite literally, visibly buzzing both in his within his anatomy and also on the field, and that's Jose Abreu, the leader, the captain. More power for home runs in the day game. in the series finale at Toronto.
You
Tony,
picking up a little pouch of Red Man
yeah,
tomorrow for AJ?
I think I might have to. I think it worked back in 2020, right?
Hey,
Worked.
it's only crazy if it doesn't work. You should
Yeah.
ride the Red Man through the weekend for Jose.
Yeah.
We got to start getting back to this. I think at one point, like back in the Shy Sox weekly days, we did Twinkies for Moncada. You've done the Red Man for Jose.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we need more Twinkies for Moncada and Domino's Pizza for Luis Robert. Get him going. We'll put our bodies through the sacrifice for this White Sox team to get it back on track, Jonnie. So, Red Man.
Yep.
Power of the Chaw tomorrow. You're riding Jose.
Yep, that's going to be it. I got to. Like I said, when you can only pick out a certain few that are buzzing, and he is, like I said, the most evidently one. Both with his bat right now, that bomb was awesome. If you're going to take one positive away from that, the Pollock leadoff home run was cool. So I like your pick to click there. And then any second deck shot's sweet. So I love that. I'm going to ride with Jose.
I love it, Jonnie. Love it.
All right.
What else we got here? Tell people where they can find us.
Yeah.
We'll get out of here.
Go and visit ontapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports, literature, and podcasting needs, as our guy Buzz would say. You can follow us on social media at ontapsportsnet, at Sox on Tap. Tune into us wherever you listen to your podcast, and make sure you go and subscribe to the On Tap Sportsnet YouTube channel, where you can chime in to these discussions, and we can feature your comments here via the live stream. We also appreciate our listeners that are tuning in on your podcast platform of choice. So, Tony, I'll do it for tonight. It's the the Larry David thing? White Sox, fuck you, and I'll see you tomorrow. White Sox forever.
White Sox.